SP 500 and the Nasdaq 100, that's what we're covering here on the day, and we had the FOMC meeting. But let's go into something before we go into that. This is the most important viewpoint I think out there right now. And you guys know I've been pretty bullish on the stock market. But there's now that area to where you can start seeing a pretty big dip over the next few weeks. Let's talk about exactly why. You have a bear flag going into our key level right here. And when you zoom out on this key level, it takes you back to your 2021 previous all-time high. And when I tell you this is maybe one of the scariest looking charts I've seen, it is. Okay. So the reality here is I think now there's a big possibility you're coming down into 16.8, 16.9 locally. Almost a 600 point drop from where we're at right now. But let me go into why I think the Fed meeting today was not beneficial. Okay. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you have all the updates, everything you could ever imagine. So I recommend following. But these are the bullet points that I went over. And I will also say from the Fed statement, which you can go to the Federal Reserve Gov and just look at this. The most concerning part was this right here. In recent months, there's been a lack of further progress towards the committee's 2% inflation objective. That's the premise. Okay. Now, if you watch what happened during the Fed meeting, okay, you were moving up the entire, until Powell got off stage, you were moving up. You were just going up and up and up the entire time. The entire time. Okay. And then end of the day, you drop. Now, this was my opinion. I posted this on Twitter for everyone. Unpopular, but I think the Fed meeting was very bearish. There's no idea when rate cuts are going to come. Powell's comment regarding that, they said, when are rate cuts? They said, whenever we think data is there. They're no closer than they were beginning of the year. Extreme stress on incoming data now, because he says right now the data is more dependent than ever, that they do not have the confidence yet to cut. Before, the confidence seemed to be there. Right? We talked about quarter, half a year. They need a full year's worth of data, and they didn't get it. Like he said, they just didn't get confidence from this quarter. So now the confidence seems to be gone, because if we listen to previous meetings, he had the confidence based on his comments. Next, 3 rate cuts, which were priced in, which was the baseline of what he said at the last meeting, seemed to be off the table. When asked about 3 cuts coming this year, he says that's not what he's trying to measure anymore. Again, this is the one thing that I've been saying. Is one, going into this meeting, any sense of good news would push you up, which I'll talk about why we pushed up. Also, too, guys, Discord spots are available on our website. The link is down below. We have some Premier Access spots available, only 20. We just opened them. I forgot to open them last night. It's my fault. Jay's probably going to kill me. And we actually opened a few yearly spots. So if you are interested, I'm going to let you know. They will only be available for a certain time. Once they sold out, they are sold out. I have no idea. I think there's like 4 yearly spots available. I believe that's what we did. I really don't like opening yearly spots, but whatever. So anyways, they're there. Take advantage while you can. Let's get back to the video. On the head for me. When asked about 3 rate cuts, he said, that's not what we're going to do. That's not what we're focused on. We're focused on getting confidence right now. Now, looking back at this, again, Powell has a history of doing this, backtracking on his statements, backtracking on what he wants to do, right? Oh, I didn't say that necessarily. He's very careful with his words. So very important to understand this. So unless inflation drops soon, very unlikely to get 3 cuts. This was the craziest. Powell kept saying that rent prices are dropping. Go rewatch it. If you don't believe me, go rewatch it. It was the craziest thing. I'm telling you, their rents are not dropping. I don't know what data he has that says rent prices are dropping. But rent prices are not dropping. Shelter prices will not go down unless unemployment goes through the roof or we cut rates. It's impossible based on what's happening, because you cannot have a home right now. You have to rent. Very important. And then we ultimately are right back to where we were 5 hours before the meeting, meaning right down here, you shot up, and then we actually weren't there yet on the chart, but then you came back down to that level. But like we just, from the mental standpoint of like, there was no reason to be bullish from that meeting. Okay. This was the only bullish comment there, was that they've been reducing the balance sheet and it's going from 60 billion to 25 billion. That's the good news. That should be good for yields in the long run. Okay. That's the most important. That's all you need to know. Now, his comments were, like I've been saying, is Powell likes to come out and say, well, we're on the plan, right? This is what we want to happen. We knew it would be bumpy. And that's what pushed you up. That is the narrative that pushed you up. That's the most important part to understand. But it's the same narrative that we've been getting. So there's no reason to actually be bullish at this point. Because again, you're in the same exact situation. Nothing has changed from the beginning start of this day. That's the important part right now. But let me go into this. And now let's briefly talk about my favorite investing app and the sponsor of today's video. If you're interested in trading the exact same broker in which I'm using for options and what I'm doing market research on, this is exactly who I'm using. This is Moomoo. This is their platform on their desktop. You can also check it out for the mobile app as well. This is their live news feed. And if you're thinking about making the switch, right now is a pretty good time because right now they're doing a 1.5% cash reward up to $300 if you transfer in. Or if you're just getting started and you want to kickstart your journey, Moomoo is giving you 5 in each of the Magnificent 7 stocks when you make a qualified bonus. You can go down and scroll and see all of this. It's right there on their website. Check them out. The link is down below. Before I go too much further, I do want to say, and I just don't want to forget, Apple earnings are tomorrow in the after hours, which I think will play pretty big implications for the market. I don't expect them to beat on revenue or EPS. I want to make that really clear. But what I will say is I think they could have some decent news in the pipeline. That's all. I'm not playing their earnings. Honestly, I think the downside is to play broad market right now. But if they miss and they don't have anything new to say, it's just going to really help the downside. So I kind of been in favor of them missing bad. So maybe I'm biased there. So going back to technicals, let's talk about where we are and what's happening. Okay, let's really dive into this on the Nasdaq. We're going to start on higher time frames. On the daily, right? Look at this is just as concerning as it gets. I'm telling you, this is very concerning. Okay. So what you're seeing, declining volume. Let's really bring this up. You're seeing declining volume, this bear flag today, increased volume, breaking back out of it. And the wick that you got here, the rejection right there, disgusting, absolutely disgusting. You go into Qs, right? Let's get a better view. Qs, SPY. I know you guys love these, right? Very similar structure, almost a better visual here. Breaking out of volume, disgusting, pushing back down, right back off of our level 430, 432. Gross. SPY, what's happening here? Similar structure, just almost equal selling as we had yesterday, both terrible. So again, sellers stepped in the most here. DIA Dow, right? Dow had a pretty good bounce today. Tried to bounce, but again, like you're seeing, stagnation, breaking down. If you get further continuation, you start breaking from these lows here, it's really going to hurt ES. That's, in my opinion, the only reason why we're seeing ES even remotely holding on, because you have some stocks that are holding up. But again, this thing could start getting hammered. And if Apple misses and does really bad, they're probably going to get tanked. So again, downside seems likely. The biggest bullseye, I'd get a sticky note and I would throw this shit on your monitor right now. Highlight that level here. You have a Lux algo level right there, and you have your 200 SMA. If you start seeing selling, I would be willing to bet my left testicle that you are coming down to 16.85, 16.9, roughly, the 200 SMA. That is like, it has to be your target here. If I've ever seen a target, that's what it has to be. Very similar to what happened back July through October. Came to the 200 SMA. That thing is going to be like a magnet if you really start seeing selling. So that's what I'm watching here. I want to make that really clear. If you get anything out of this video, that's what you got to get out of this, okay? So make sure you write that down, take notes, whatever it may be, okay? Also, too, if you are interested in our Lux algo levels, like in our volume down here, I only really use the volume when we have breakouts or I'm day trading. So today was a really good example to show that off. Again, the link is down below, so make sure you check them out. Code is OD40 for 40% off your first payment. So if you do a year, you get 40% off. If you do a month, you only get 40% off for that first month. So make sure you take advantage while you can, okay? Again, really quickly, I'm not going to spend too much time here. DXY, chopping, consolidating. Again, like I talked about with treasuries and how they're cutting they're cutting back on the balance sheet. Cutting on the downside there, that should be good for yields. We need to wait and see. I want to see continuation on yields, but yields are popping back up, so that's not a good thing. And oil is also dipping. So really interesting behavior here. I'll go over more of this in another video. I just don't want to cover that today. I just do see downside. I'm going to go into stocks and equities, but I called this out again yesterday. I really recommend you guys are on Twitter following us, because I've tried to be a lot more active lately. I definitely took a little bit of a break off Twitter. I was really active and just said I need a little bit of time, but I'm back. Going crazy here. I told 17 hours, if you break 59.2, you're going to see a pretty big drop. I think you can come down to the 200 SMA here too. You're at 60K at that point. Fast forward 24 hours. You're down almost $3,000 from that level, and it looks like you have more downside likely. Again, Bitcoin seems like it's going to dip. I think it's going to be a good opportunity there. I just want to highlight that. Okay, now let's get into the good stuff. Let's jump in. Okay, so number one, let's look at semiconductors. Now, NVIDIA has had some downside today. Okay, some decent downside, but that's not the play. In my opinion, I don't really care for NVIDIA here. I think NVIDIA, you can make some money to the downside, but I'm not trading it here. I just don't care. It's not the play. What do we like to do here? I like to focus on trading the weak names on the downside and the strong names to the upside. Okay, so right now, the weak name is AMD. Bad earnings, didn't do good. Not very bad reaction as well. So we started shorting this on the day. Again, I was feeling generous today. Called this one out as well. Called it out near 147. You dropped down to 142. I think you got a chef's kiss. Mwah, perfect rejection again off that level again, pushing back down. This is what you want to see. I think AMD it's again like a magnet towards that 200 SMA, 138, 139 roughly. Go to the daily here. Look what happened previous. Y'all remember? We remember this? Go back to October. We talked about this. Yeah, crazy. Magnet, a little bit of a false breakdown and then shot up. So again, I think you're probably working your way there. Again, time and time again, the 200 SMA has been a massive level on AMD. So it's, again, something that I think you have to be watching. If you're not watching it, I think you're doing yourself a massive disservice. AMD has about $8 more of downside, in my opinion. Definitely must watch, have to be watching it. I think downside is highly likely, especially below 145.3. Okay, further on from that, Apple not covering it. Tesla, everyone wants to go short on Tesla. You can try. I just don't want to. I like what Tesla's doing, personally. I think they're on the right steps, okay? I'd be watching this 179.2 level. If you get below this, maybe you start to try to short it at 176, 177, and then you go for the gap fill down. And so, man, the gap fill is not even to like 172, so that's the craziest part here. But yeah, it's like 170, again, it's crazy. So you have some levels there, 177, then 175, then the 172 level. But I don't want to short it. Do what you got to do. I know you guys are going to ask about it, so I had to cover it. Meta. I'm getting interested in Meta now. You had some nice breakdown. You wanted to get a push up, and now you're kind of got trapped there. Okay. I also want to give a shout out to Colin today. If you guys don't follow my guy Colin, go follow Colin. I am a big fan of this guy on Twitter. Tell him Tyler sent you. Okay. Now, Colin, again, I like to give free game. I don't care who you are. I'm going to always give free game to you guys, right? If I like your content, I will shout you out all day long. He pointed this out earlier. He said, also, if Powell's hawkish tomorrow, market's pumped, this could be very bearish, even more bearish, and could be trapped. Great call out by Colin. I recognize real guys. A great call. So go follow Colin as well. I follow him, so you can check him out. Anyways, I think Meta could be coming down to 406. Okay, definitely a level I'd be watching. Again, gap fill. A lot of these gap fills across the board. A lot of concern. But you want to see if selling steps in. Okay, Netflix, another big name here. You're gonna see I'm going for big. There's some big plays here, big opportunities, right? But again, you have to be patient. Netflix, I want to see a break of 537 and a retest. If that happens, you have a monster downside. It could be bad. All the way down to 504, at least 510, like $20, $30 of downside. So again, those are my top plays right now. Someone might be like, Tyler, you didn't cover my favorite play. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't. But I do want to cover, let's cover Amazon here real quick too before I let you out of here. Again, I said Amazon. I said if you have upside, it's probably one of the better names. When you had upside, it moved really good. But again, when I don't like the market, when I think that we're bearish, I have to steer clear. I have to maintain my risk. Because what do I know? If the market's favoring the downside, I'm not going to really win to the upside. It's going to be unlikely. I better not get caught. This is the best thing I can say. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm trading. This is a great example of how you could get caught. But again, that's the market. If you have any questions, comment down below. See you guys tomorrow. Also, Discord spots are open, so make sure you check them out.